Hi everyone, welcome back to Go Local Live this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Go Local News editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us for news and politics ahead of the holiday. And of course, politics are at the hotbed of the recent Nike controversy. Would like to welcome in Rhode Island native Spencer Sullivan, former GOP strategist starting up and being president and CEO of Lean Campaign Strategies, now the vice president at Rumble Up for political communications. Spencer, thank you for joining us today.
Always happy to be on, especially today.
So much taking place, and you have a very unique perspective. Obviously, Nike putting forth the Betsy Ross sneakers, pulling it amidst controversy, have folks on both sides lauding and decrying the position. You take a very pragmatic approach.
Yeah, I think simply this was a business decision. I think the last time, and you can look into this, the last time Nike stepped into controversy issues, especially with Colin Kaepernick, with their campaign, yeah, their stocks went down a little bit, but actually rose again. And actually their sales rose 31%. So what Nike's doing here isn't a pro or anti-American campaign. It's a business decision. And any corporation really has a financial responsibility, a fiscal responsibility to their shareholders, to their companies, to the employees that they employ, for the best bottom line decision. And that's what was made. And I do grant, the past 5 years, CEOs have been expected to step a little bit more into the fray in terms of politics and civic discourse, right? But that's not what this was. This was simply a business decision that was made. They pulled it off. If you believe in the free market, which I do, if you like it, support them. If you don't support them. And that's what this comes down to. And lastly, I think this really does epitomize the ludicrousy of where we stand as like within American politics, right? I mean, you can't draw this up any better between July 4th, there's a flag, and Republicans are rah-rah, and the Democrats are nay, and it's too much, right? So I think the bigger problem here, and there's really this point to where we stand as a society, is I've traveled over 200,000 miles the past 2 years domestically. I've been in Hico, Texas this past weekend. I've been in cities, New York City a couple weeks ago. I've been in San Diego, Chicago, all over the country. And there's literally one thing I've found that has united Americans. And we're all united among one addiction, and we love this discourse. As much as we decry negative campaigning, as much as we decry polarization, us versus them, Republicans versus Democrats, good versus evil, we love it. We're addicted to it as a society, right? And we're going to blame elected officials, but there's no one to blame except for us, because if we didn't crave it, if we didn't crave this discourse and we didn't embrace it and react so aggressively towards it and engage with it, then elected officials wouldn't sell it.
And speaking of selling a little bit as well, of course, we did see what took place with Nike and Colin Kaepernick. Any thought that perhaps Nike could have possibly anticipated that there might be some reaction to this? Isn't all PR just good PR?
Yeah, and good. There's some who say any PR is good PR. This is actually a very unique story too, because my father was in the shoe industry for years, and I can tell you that shoe designs were take a little bit more than a quarter of a business to design, right? So this shoe was not designed last week or the month before. This shoe was designed probably about a year ago. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Nike should have ran this past a couple more people, and that was a fumble. But they clearly made the decision that not recalling the shoes back into the Nike store was more of a risk than trying to sell them, right? So yeah, a fumble by not running this out a little bit more. But again, they made a business decision to recall these shoes because their bottom line was at stake. Their employees were at stake.
And you just mentioned, obviously, traveling around the country and talking about that addiction to sort of the vitriolic discourse, if you will. I mean, clearly we're seeing it here with Nike in the politicization of what's taken place. What would you say to the average voter? I mean, people are going to have their own reactions to this. There's no two ways about it. But are you basically saying to politicians, maybe you might want to cool your jets?
Well, I don't think it's a zero-sum game. I don't think the other side is evil. I think we, as American voters, we too easily just surround ourselves with people who support us. You look at social media when we're going to curate news that we only support with, and it's on both sides. It's not just one side. So I think what we really have to do is take a step back, realize both sides want the same thing. Both sides want good jobs. Both sides want a strong, safe country. Both sides want everyone to be healthy and have health care. We just disagree on how to get there, and that's the only disagreement is how do we get there. It doesn't make one side good or evil, and we address each other as good or evil. We're never going to have a solution. We're never going to have a compromise, and we're never going to move forward to make the country better.
So do you think you're sort of an outlying voice in the Republican discourse pertaining to this development with Nike here, or are you seeing it across the board in the GOP as well?
Look, I'm not one to speak for the entire party. I think that, again, stereotyping one person for the entire party is a mistake. And I think that's on both sides of the aisle. As we say, all the Democrats or all the Republicans or all the whatever it may be, right? I think having disagreements within one party is very healthy, and having disagreements between two parties is extremely healthy, right? But this was a business decision. This was not an anti-American or pro whatever decision you want to call it. This was a financial bottom line that a corporation has a responsibility to its shareholders, to its employees, and the more they make, the more taxable they are to the American voters. So that's good.
So as we are staring down July 4th, are you going to the parade?
I'm gonna. When I'm home, I need to be home. So I'm gonna be spending time with my family, my wife, and we're expecting our second one on August 2nd. So we're gonna have a low-key July 4th.
A low-key July 4th. We had the opportunity to talk with Jennifer Lawless down at UVA. Apparently, there still seems to be a lot in flux as to what this parade, even as we're here on July 2nd, will actually look like due to logistics. What's the chatter inside the Beltway? Are we going to see tanks? Are we going to see speeches? Or are we going to see the usual July 4th parade that they've always logistically arranged?
Look, I think it's gonna be a great July 4th. I think every July 4th is great. Anyone who's actually down in DC can tell you one of the reasons why the tanks may have a problem getting over that one key bridge is that one key bridge is actually under construction, which I drive over every single day, and I drive home back over every single day. So there's no shock that a bridge under construction, which by the way is no new news to Rhode Island infrastructure, can't handle a tank. That's not really news.
But I guess the question is, do you think the parade organizers realize this? Where are the tanks currently? Are they still anticipating trying to, or are they making this 11th hour logistical decision?
Who knows? I'm not going to say things I don't know, especially with a very unpredictable president. I think this is going to be a fantastic July 4th. And if tanks make it, fantastic. If not, I'm sure the fireworks will suffice.
It's always one of the best places I know, always in the top rankings of where to be on the 4th of July, of course, is in the patriotic Washington, D.C. So Spencer Sullivan, VP at Rumbala, thank you for taking the time to Skype and give us a little perspective as to the wide myriad of reactions as to Nike and the sneaker controversy, and we appreciate your taking the time to Skype in.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate.
Okay, thanks. Spencer Sullivan, we're going to let him go, and we're going to wish everyone a good evening here in Providence and wherever you may be watching from. We look forward to seeing you when we're back here in studio on Go Local Live in downtown Providence. I'm Go Local News Editor Kate Nagel.